Hey, you guys, it's Tricia Turner here. It is
Babe, we're already having technical difficulties. Yeah. I love doing this, you know what I mean? Because like you really gotta you have to sometimes you have to sit here and like improvise, you know what I mean? If you're live.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I would flip out. I would be here.
Yeah. And like this happened last week, one of my guests actually went off and it was like, yeah, so like, I started talking about something else and like Tricia just sent me a message on Facebook that said she'd be right back. So and the funny thing is I've had this happen to me before too.
Is it live or is it being taped?
No, it's live. Like we're a minute 19 in. But that's all part of the experience, right?
Yep.
It's Tricia Turner, anything but average, achieving success in life. And today we're talking EXP stock. Everyone can see me and hear me right now. So we're just waiting on Tricia Turner to get back into the show. But I will plug my show real quick because I'll be on at 4 p.m. Eastern today. So if you want to tune into the Agent Revolution podcast presented by Mike Wall Live, please make sure and check that out at 4 p.m. Eastern today. You can always go to meetmikewall.com, books you a meeting with me for free training, but you can also get free real estate. In fact, we have 8 hours worth of free real estate business training over at mikewalllive.com. And I know Tricia's going to join us here in just a minute, but I know exactly what we're going to be talking about today. The funny thing is, babe, I've just been talking off air, and you guys have heard this. I thought we were off air anyway, and we're 3 minutes into a live show here. Tricia's having some technical difficulties. I thought I was off air, and I'm actually having a conversation with my wife, so I'm not sure if I said anything weird. I'm hoping I didn't. You can hear my wife laughing at me now. But in the event I did, hey, that's what it's all about, right? It's technology at its best. So what we're going to talk about today is additional income streams, right? We've all been at a real estate company. Hopefully, you're in a business where you're selling real estate. I would assume that mostly real estate agents, potentially entrepreneurs, would turn into to view this show. But in some capacity, we're all kind of doing the same thing. And so I know one of the things that I wanted to talk about in today's show really is, and I think why Tricia called me on is the explosion and what's happening here in the last probably 6 to 7 weeks with EXP stock, which the handle for EXP stock is EXPI. And so my personal story, what's up? I was still live. So I'm just still on time. Just so you know, I just plugged my show on your show. Okay?
oh my gosh, like as soon as we went live. So, hey, y'all, by the way, I guess Mike introduced himself. Did you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm all introduced, man. I was going into today's topic. I plugged my show. We are we're 5 minutes in. Where have you been?
Crazy. Like the power went off. Thank heavens I have my laptop with me. Power went off. It's back on. But my computer's like now rebooting. And oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
This is real life TV, right? Facebook Live.
Well, the funny thing is, it's like I've had this happen more than once. And first of all, I didn't know that your guest was still live on air. So I'm sitting here having a conversation with my wife. And fortunately, I didn't say anything crazy or weird. But I quickly thought, oh my gosh, I see up in the top right-hand or left-hand corner, it says live. And then at the bottom, it says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. So I'm like, okay, let me just fill in real quick. But you know what? I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, Tricia, you're right. These shows, I mean, I think the best part about these shows is that they're authentic. They're not, we have the fancy introduction that Krim did for us, and that's all well and good. But anything happens after that, I mean, it's babies crying, it's dogs barking, it's lawn mowers, it's power going out, right? It's all of those things. And that's truly what you get when you watch something that's authentic. And I think that's what makes it special.
It's super cool. It's like a day in the life, right? And
right.
The funniest thing is that everyone that knows it's going off again. Look, yeah, we're back on.
Yeah, we're
I have technology problems today. Isn't it crazy? But here, let's go back to our topic. So one of the reasons that I wanted you to come on for one today is because I, of course, had my own independent brokerage. And, right now with it being latter part of October, a lot of agents, brokers, people are thinking about making a move for the next year because this year's been kind of weird in real estate.
Quarter.
Yeah, it's been an amazing year, but definitely not the norm. And so people that may be thinking about making a move or something, I usually am the last one that is out there trying to promote stuff just because I'm super busy. And I believe that people are going to come to you if they're a good fit anyway. And so when I made the switch over to EXP and decided to leave my own brokerage and go to EXP, it was because I was seeking more. I wanted to do more, and be with more people like you, like-minded people.
Sure.
And so it's opened this door of like heaven to me. I mean, I have now the greatest friends and they're all like killing it in real estate.
Right.
And so the stock I had always heard about, but I didn't really care about it because it's not important to me. I'm a hustler. I'm going to make money.
Right.
And so a couple of weeks ago when everybody was posting, hey, look at my stock, I was like, I probably ought to look at mine because I really haven't even looked at it maybe in about 6 months.
Yeah.
That was like a really cool thing. I hit open and I was like, what the hell is that? Yeah. So there's over $200,000 in stock in there, No idea that it was there. None.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with that, I'm like, okay, this is a no-brainer. First of all, no broker in their own independent company can give that to their agents who they should be looking out for. Keller Williams can't do that. Remax can't do that. Berkshire Hathaway can't do that. Gary Green. I mean, you name it. It's like, go down the list. Who can do that? And so I thought, we're not doing the right thing by not telling everybody about it, because if people are thinking about making a move right now, there's no other place to go. Right. So I wanted to bring you in on that because you are like very passionate about this topic.
Yep. And you said something there that I think is worth digging into a little bit, is the fact that that you have this area of your business, so to speak, that's generating income that you're truly not really paying that much attention to. And I hope that sinks in with everybody, because what other company or what other area of business could you go into, potentially, I guess, corporate America, if you were in the executive branch where they're, paying you potentially bonuses in stock, but who else is going to offer you an area of your business where you can generate extra income in addition to the homes you're selling, in addition to, we haven't even touched on the revenue share, right? And the whole reason why I think this is so impactful is the fact that, listen, it doesn't matter what company you're at. If you're at Keller Williams, if you're at Remax, if you're at Coldwell Banker, right? We're all selling real estate, right? Yep. We're all generating income. And in fact, we're probably generating the line. If I'm speaking for most of us, the lion's share of our income is coming from selling real estate, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, so let's just say all that's equal, right? And some commission splits are different, right? And that's all well and good, but let's take that off the table completely, right? Yep. So are there companies offering additional opportunities for income, right? And we know Keller Williams does this profit share thing, right?
Sure.
And I came from Keller Williams. It's no secret. I spent 3 years there. I loved it. I'd never had a bad thing to say about Keller Williams. I thought the exit was handled a little inappropriately, but that's water under the bridge for me right now. But we loved our time there, and I didn't move because I was unhappy with Keller Williams. That wasn't the reason why we moved. We moved because we found a better opportunity for our agents, right? And this opportunity, in addition to the profit share we were receiving at Keller Williams, and the issue we had with profit share was there's no formula for profit share, right?
Yeah.
Profit share showed up after everything else and everybody else had been paid. And what I mean by that is, the regional owners get paid, the regional director gets paid, the market center administrator, the team leader, the director of first impressions, agent services, the janitor. Right? The janitor gets paid.
Rent, everything.
Gets paid, right? And then obviously they have these big lease payments for these big, beautiful buildings. All that is pre-profit share. And if there's anything left over, then it's split amongst the agents in the form of profit share. Well, there's no formula for scalability for that, right? And so that's all well and good. And I think the biggest profit share we ever got was like June of 2017. It was like $636. And I had recruited quite a few agents over into the Keller Williams brokerage. And literally my third month and again, this is a little off topic, but my third month at EXP, my revenue share check was $3,300. And mind you, this whole time I'm collecting stock too, right? So let's shift gears back over to stock. And why I think you wanted me on today is what's happened with the stock in the last 6 weeks. But here's the thing, Tricia, and I know you do this too because you're a smart woman, is we're having stock taken out of our check pre-tax, right? So that means it's not going into any operating account so that we have to report it to the IRS. It's going in pre-tax, and we're buying stock at a 10% discount, right?
Yeah.
And I'm doing that for every single check. And what's happened over time is now I've accumulated 10,300 shares worth of EXPI stock. And and why that's so impactful today is because 7 weeks ago it was worth $124,000. And today it's worth over $600,000.
Y'all hear that?
And so, the funny thing is people talk about, well, so here's some of the naysayers, right? Here's what some of the naysayers say. They say, well, can you, what's your commission split at EXP? I'm at Remax, I'm at a 95.5. Well, let's just do some quick math, okay? We're going to do this for, just for ease sake. So let's say, you sell 100 properties or whatever, you pay $100,000 to Remax, right? And or whatever that is. Well, and you get 95% of your split. So at EXP, like if I pay in my $16,000, and we're not even going to talk about revenue share here. If I pay in my $16,000 and my stock goes up 330%, right? And the margin from that looks like 124 to 600, which is what, like 450.
Crazy.
What is the relevance of a cap at all if my stock went up 350 grand? You know what I mean?
Yes. And is the craziest thing. Like when I've talked to people, it just it blows my mind. But when I talk to people, other agents, sometimes they're like, yeah, but there's this cap. Y'all are on an 80-20 split and there's this 16,000 cap. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Because there's all these other big box companies that have the split. A lot of them are a lot more than ours. And it's like, what do they bring for that? Nothing. You're still paying for coaching. You're being trained in their training rooms by W-2 employees that couldn't do it on their own. So it's like, what are you getting for that? I told everybody, I'm like, I'll pay in number one, I'm going to get my 16,000 back because I'm a producer. Yep. And anybody else that is a producer can too. And we'll train you to do that. But number two, it's like, even if I didn't, just hypothetically, if you were an agent that did, the average agent did 6 to 8 homes a year and you didn't cap. So it cost you $16,000 to be at EXP in your mindset. Are you kidding me? Look what that stock is capable of doing. Like if you would have 5% of your commission withheld, 5%, that's it. I mean, what is that? Because here's what I know. The people, and you talk to real estate agents and they're like, yeah, but I'm going to go work at this discount brokerage and I'm going to keep all my money and I'll be able to invest it myself. And they don't.
Right.
They don't, because real estate agents are notorious for spending and not for saving. And so they never put money away. They never make investments. At EXP, it's done for you. You know, it's already withheld. It's done for you. They take that equation out of the table for you, off the table.
Yeah. And a lot of times they don't make that investment because they don't know how. They don't know where to invest the money. They're going to companies that literally provide a high commission split and absolutely zero value, right? In the form of training or resources. And what we've done here is we've kind of found the perfect medium for that, right? It's getting in community with the right people, like-minded individuals, like what you said. It's providing all of these different tools and resources and tapping into that of others, and then adding in the additional opportunities for income via stock and revenue share. And to me, it's not like, it's funny because you were talking to me before we went live here, and it's like, well, why don't people see it? And I don't know why people don't see it. I think people will see it over time. It's like, we're posting this, and it's like, people, I think more often than not now are saying, wow, that's amazing. I mean, the naysayers like, hey, can you spend that right now, or do you have to wait? And it's like, people that say stuff like that, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, do I have to wait? Why would I spend it right now? It's going up, 30% every month. You know what I mean?
It's making money.
It's like, right. And so it's like, I have a 401k, you know what I mean? I have rental properties. It's like, why? This is a long-term play for me. I don't need to spend the EXP stock, right? If I want to, I mean, I can, right? I'll be vested.
Oh, yeah.
And so if I wanted to take some stock out and go, spend it, my wife and I have talked about, putting money down on a house down in Marco Island, Florida, and using that EXP stock to do that. And really, I'm not saying that to boast or to brag. I just really want to provide some context to people so that they understand the opportunity that they're potentially missing out on by not making the move.
Well, and here's another thing, like with COVID, there's a lot of people here in Houston that are still out of work. There's a lot of people still struggling. The real estate market is booming. So, I mean, we're very blessed, thank heavens. And so we're accumulating wealth. We're building wealth is what we're doing. But what if I got sick next month and I couldn't work for the next 3 or 6 months? What if? I would have to tap into my stock potentially to help support me. You know what? If I was at my own independent company, I wouldn't have that. If I had to stop working, I would be in a problem. It would be a problem, And that's how most people are. They're living transaction to transaction, and they're not saving anything, and they're not creating wealth for their family. And what's their end game? It's like, what are you going to do in 5, 10, 20 years? Are you still going to be a slave to the listing appointment? What is it? Or the buyer's thing? What are you doing? Why do you want to continue just making sure that you're not taking care of your family? I think it's irresponsible. 100% irresponsible.
100%. And like, I agree wholeheartedly. I think, too, another thing that you want to look at too, is if you're an agent, and you're right, I think this is a great time for this kind of content to get out, because I think more people evaluate where they're at this time of year for sure in the fourth quarter, because I mean, let's face it, for a lot of agents, and I'm going to go live at 4 p.m. This afternoon, and we're going to talk about this exact topic. There are some agents that are crushing it right now, right? There's some agents that are having their best year yet, or one of their best years, and there are some agents that are suffering right now, and those are the type of people like we're talking about that will be evaluating where they're at. And there's a lot more to go into as it relates to that, because a lot of people are at their brokerage, and there's a difference between a successful, there's people that are seekers like you and me, right? Like we will find something that we're interested in, and then we'll seek out more information to either, if it's real estate, we'll seek out more information to grow and get better. If it's some topic that we're interested in with our kids, like you and I both have a special needs boy, like, my son is autistic. Like if we want to seek out information about him, like we'll go and do that. And then there are some people that are not seekers, right? There are some people that are still really good people, and they want to be good at real estate, but you need to give them the information, right? And I don't want to say you need to force feed it to them, but you need to present it in such a way that they're able to consume it, right? And those people can still be really good real estate agents. And then there's a third kind of person that just doesn't seek, and if you give it to them, they won't take it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and so for us, I think we're in that first group. We are the seekers. We are the the people who are always looking to grow and improve and get better. And I think what we need to do is it's our responsibility, Tricia, is to tap into those people in that second group. And that's the second windfall, right? Those people whose lives we can truly touch by putting out content like this.
It's funny. I think of it kind of like this, like, because I'm a believer, I'm faith-based 100%. And so when I hear of people that are non-believers and they come at me that for the reasons why they don't think God exists, I always just come back and I'm like, but what if you're wrong? What if, what is if you're wrong and when you die, where do you go? It's like when I hear people talk about EXP, about the stock and it's going to be gone and they go on and on. I'm like, well, what if you're wrong? Yeah. What if you're wrong? And like when I got started here, it was at $8 a share. So I'm like, woohoo, this is going way up. Holy crap. I'm loving it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine where it's going to go. Here's one thing I do know. When I look at all, because like you said, I study stuff like crazy. Yeah. When I look at all these other big box companies, and we have competitors around us, Houston's a highly competitive market. Sure. And so when I look at all these other ones, if there's 300-400 agents in office, there's maybe 10, maybe 20 that are actually selling real estate, and they're called top producers in that office. When you look at their production, they're called top producers, but that's usually like maybe 20, 25 homes a year. Right. When you look at our group, especially like our core group, it's like that's like an average agent. Like we're in huge teams where we're doing, 200, 300, 500,000 transactions a year. Yeah. So when you look at that, to think that we would ever be out of business is crazy. And that's what I tell people. I'm like, the people that I associate with, they're running huge businesses. They're running huge teams. They're providing great lives for their family and for their agents. We're never going anywhere. So it's like when you put that many people with that much drive and ambition and money and power under one umbrella, you can't stop that. You're crazy to not want to be part of that.
Yep.
That's what's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. And, when we came over, there was initially, I think, a lot of pushback because of, the situation. We left when we were actually in the process of opening a Keller Williams Market Center south of town. Like we picked out the building, we had the ownership group, and, Jay had put this idea in front of me, this is something you ought to evaluate. And, certainly we looked at it, and I knew long-term that for me, the success of our business would be predicated on not me, but our agents, right? Because I knew ultimately I didn't want to be in front of buyers and sellers. That wasn't where I was supposed to be long-term. I was supposed to be in front of agents, right? And helping them grow their business and being who they needed me to be. And so as I looked out long-term, why financially the decision to go to Keller Williams and open that market center was a better financial decision for me. It was not as equally good for my team. And so ultimately we made the decision to move to EXP because of our team. And we've never looked back, Tricia. Like it is the best decision I've ever made because, I sat in a meeting this morning with one of my agents, John Clark, and we had brought over a guy that we were talking to from another brokerage. And, the writing's on the wall now, guys. And I think with COVID, it made it more transparent than ever that this is the right company because this hasn't really affected us because our brokerage is completely in the cloud, right? While we do have office space, Tricia, we do, right? It's not the brokerage that's carrying that expense. So they're able to give that money back out through revenue share, through stock to their agents. And those are the people that truly deserve it. And I think, you're right. When we tap into that second group and here, listen, it's coming. I told John Clark this morning, I said, there's everybody's coming to EXP. It's just a matter of who they're coming through, right? And it might as well be you.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's our conversation, and we're getting more and more people interested, and that's what we're all about right now. And we're not in it for ourselves. We love the revenue share. We think that's a great thing. We think the stock is great, but we are truly committed to changing agents' financial lives.
One thing that I look at, and especially like with Zillow, Zillow is like a huge competitor for everybody, especially here in the Houston market. It's big time competitive here, like I said. And so for agents, they're kind of scrambling right now. People are afraid of Zillow because they're not aligned with the right people. But like I tell my agents here, I'm like, we don't have any fear whatsoever because again, we collaborate constantly across the nation and we're here to protect our industry and to help our industry and to help our agents never be out of business. So, that in itself provides such a level of comfort and a level of security that you just don't get at other companies. You can't. You don't.
Yeah.
And I think the stock, when I checked on mine a couple of weeks ago for the first time in months, shame on me. And I even made a video about it over the weekend. It's like, that was such an eye opener, because at the end of the day, especially if you're a broker or a team leader and you're really passionate about doing what's right for your agents and their families, shame on you if you're not showing them this and showing them the way. And shame on you if you're not doing it, because how foolish that is to let this opportunity pass you by. It's not going to go away. It's only going to get better.
Yep. And let's be honest. I mean, oftentimes we throw out like these astronomical numbers and they go right over people's head, right? It's like, oh, my stock's worth 600 grand. And, the agent who sells 6 or 12 or 20 houses a year is going, well, that's not me. But the reality of it is like, you and I were once that person, right?
Yeah.
And we've evolved. But to that person though, right now, that's thinking that way, think what an extra, a 30 grand a year, an extra 40, what kind of impact would that have if you knew that you had income sitting in another place, right? In addition to what you were already generating from your residential real estate business, and it was accumulating wealth right alongside of you. And, you want to peek in on it every now and then because it's like fun to watch it, especially right now. But like, I was like you, I had probably 8 months go by where I never even looked at it. You know what I mean? We were just buying it and buying it and buying it. We were buying more. We were buying as much as we can get our hands on. And we still are. But I never looked at it. And I knew, because I believed in the model that we would get to where we're at. And I'll be honest with you, I think we're going to 100, 150. That's where I think we're going. And it looks like Tricia's power went off again. So I know we're probably getting close to wrapping this up. But you guys can understand if you're tuned into this, and I hope I hope what I'm telling you right now connects with you, in that you're able to. Yeah, and I'm still going here. Listen, at this point, this is my show now.
This is your show. This is not my day with technology.
but no, what I was saying though is like, I'm hoping that this particular content reaches the right people who are maybe on the fence, or maybe they're just exploring EXP and this is what they needed to kind of push them over the edge, because this just proves, right? This pandemic proves that it can affect the pandemic and let's say any disruption for that matter.
Yes.
It can affect the way we do business, no doubt about it, 100%. Mm-hmm. Has it affected us at EXP? Not really, not really at all. Now, has it affected agents' lives personally? Potentially, right? Because if friends and family members get the virus or whatever, or it can also affect us mentally, right? And ultimately, we have control over our mental mindset. But at the end of the day, now what you're seeing, guys, is you're seeing companies like EXP rise to the top, right? And we are rising to the top because we were built for things like this, right? Mm-hmm. And we will continue to do so. I mean, with the acquisition of Virbela, right? That was huge for us.
Yes.
Another thing that I was talking about this morning is, now there are campuses like Stanford, right? Who part of the classes that they're offering are totally virtual now in this world. Their campus is totally virtual. Part of it is in the Virbela Stanford University world, right? Just like EXP. And so like, I would invite you guys to either reach out to Tina or Tricia or myself and get to know a little bit more about what is inside EXP, the EXP world, because, unless you see it, you really can't fathom it. And I don't know, Tricia, if you do this or not, but if you bring agents in, like we have a big 65-inch TV in my office, and I pull the world up on there and we walk through it. We go into the auditorium. If there's a live classroom going along, we watch the class for a little bit, and we take it into agent services. And people are like, whoa, I thought I knew EXP. I had no idea that this is what it was. No. And it blows their mind. But that's why the stock is doing what it is.
It's crazy. And here's another thing, like I've talked to a lot of people about it, and I say, if you do make the switch, give it a year. I believe that everything you should give time to, it's an investment in your time. You can't, it's just like marketing, anything to do with marketing. You can't invest in something 30, 60, 90 days and expect to get a return and you're out. It's not a get rich thing. But if you give something a year, especially if you gave it a year with us, number one, you'd have a crap ton of stock. Number two, you'd have some of the best friends in the world. And number three, you'd be living a much better life because you would have that security. And I challenge like everybody out there that's maybe on the fence or maybe is unhappy. You never know. I mean, for new agents too, this is a whole new world because, you know, the average real estate agent doesn't sell very many homes. The average real estate agent makes less than $40,000 a year. And the average real estate agent, I mean, it's an 87% failure rate, you know, in real estate. That's a lot. Right. So when you look at all those kinds of numbers and you talk to people like us, we're never going to fail. We are success stories. Why? Because we're in it. We are 100% committed. And we're always going to be 100% committed, and we're making the right decisions, and we're aligned with the right people and the right company. And there's nobody else out there that's doing what we're doing.
Amen. Hallelujah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, tell everybody how they can find you, Mike, and where can they tune in today at 4?
Yes. So just if you can find me on Facebook, it's just Mike Wall. And you can always go to mikewalllive.com and see our most recent broadcast. We also have 8 hours worth of absolutely free real estate business training there. Tune in today on my Facebook page. We will be live talking to a gal out of Toronto, Canada. And we're going to just be talking about, she's a mega agent. She's a newer agent, but she's a luxury gal. She has an average price point of like $1 million. We're going to be talking about growth strategies through the pandemic. And one of the things I want to touch on, which we did just very briefly, is mindset, right? I want to talk a little bit about mindset. So having that abundance mindset, which will serve you obviously in times where things, you know, let's face it. I mean, if you watch the news, if you talk to friends and family, sometimes the message is not always positive. And so we're going to talk about kind of distancing yourself from that stuff and just staying positive, and then just some additional growth strategies through the pandemic.
I love it. I love it. Anybody out there in the Houston area too, you guys need to talk to me about joining EXP. What can we do? How can we help you? Just come have a conversation because we are taking over. It's South Africa even now. You saw that, Mike?
Number one team, number one real estate brokerage in South Africa in one day.
Isn't that insane? Like when I joined the company, I'll never forget it. I was there, and I think it was in New Orleans for that conference. Yeah. And I was just sitting there. It was like just kind of taking it all in. I literally had been with EXP a week. And so I was watching their vision boards go up, and they were putting up their slides, and they set up their 2020 world domination. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to be part of this. And what you're watching it, we're watching it, you know, South Africa, Mexico, Canada. It's like, oh my gosh, it's not going to stop. Not going to stop. Yeah. And, you know, when Amazon first started and nobody really knew what they were, it was like, I thought it was like an online bookstore, and I think it was, but it was I don't know what Amazon is going to be. I didn't pay any attention to it whatsoever. Shame on me. I wish I would have. Yeah. My gosh, wish I would have bought Amazon stock a gazillion years ago. When I first invested in Amazon stock, I think I paid $1,600 a share, you know? Imagine if I would have got in the beginning. Yeah, and so now people say, what if, you know, when people talk about stock, I'm like, yeah, but what if? Yeah. What if you're wrong? What have you got to lose?
I promise you this, guys. Your old brokerage will always take you back. Right. What do you got to lose?
Amen. We will end on that note. Thank you so much, Mike, for being here with me today, despite all the challenges.
Tricia, thanks for having me again, man. I love doing the show. I love the energy. I love your message. Again, it's about getting the right content or educating the agent base, providing value, and that's what I know you're trying to do. So truly humble. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll tune in and watch you today at 4.
Appreciate it. Hope to see you.
Y'all make it a good one.
Bye,
y'all.
Bye.